Welcome to Local Business Spotlight, everyone. I'm Troy Thompson. Joining me today is Morgan Hill from Hill & Hill Financials. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Always great to be with you, Troy.
Okay, today we're talking all about building a financial solution.
You bet.
For when we retire and also pre-retire.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Both are important.
So why is it so important to have a written income plan?
You know what I've discovered? Is we're in the 21st century. We often
You just discovered that?
We just discovered that. We often still think in 20th century terms. Back then, you'd get a guaranteed pension if you worked 35 or 40 years with that employer. And so planning for income wasn't as big a deal. Most people had their debts paid off. Most people had children early and retired. There's this pattern. Well, now that's kind of been set on its ear. I see people maybe having children later, so they're still planning for college and dealing with kids and saving a little bit later and maybe retiring a little bit later and not getting those guarantees and not thinking about things like inflation and cost of living. And so what we think is critically important, Troy, is to have a literal written plan that looks at all of your sources of money. That's the key for folks listening. You want to look at your Social Security. You want to look at your income from various sources, and we map it out over 25 to 30 years. We put numbers for folks who like numbers, and we have graphs and charts for those of us that like pictures to make sure that you never run out of money, that your income line is always greater than your expense line. And putting it in writing we found to be very powerful to help folks plan.
Well, Morgan, I want to be honest with you.
Sure.
There are people out there that really feel in their minds that they don't have enough money to save to be able to work out their written plan, correct?
You know, we see that a lot. There have been very few folks, and we work with hundreds of families, I think over 700 in about 20 plus states now. Our core is right here in eastern Tennessee and North Georgia. But what I've discovered with retirement planning is not unlike exercise. I've heard from doctors that it's never too late to exercise.
Yes.
It's never too late to strive to be healthy. I found that most folks have the ingredients for a plan. They just have this preconceived notion of how much money they think they need.
Right.
So when we put the plan together, it's like my book, Building a Better Retirement. If we think about the analogy of home building, there's nothing wrong with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow. And there's nothing wrong with a 7-bath, 8-bedroom mansion on the lake. It's what do you want, and how does what you have, your boards and bricks, how does it fit what you're trying to build? So what we try to do is match those two, and the written plan helps us do that.
What are the components of a written plan? What should we be writing down?
Yes, one, you'll want to take a look at your Social Security numbers. You can usually get that at ssa.gov, or sometimes you get them still in written form. You want to take a look at what are your guaranteed sources of money. Maybe you do have a pension, but if you don't, how might you have some investments that could give you some guarantees? And then finally, you want to look at maybe sources like dividends or rental income that can give you stable and or guaranteed sources of income, Troy, that cover all of your non-discretionary monthly bills. I know people say, well, that sounds common. We do that. But in retirement, most people don't think in those terms. So map it out, make sure you cover all your costs, and live the retirement that you've always dreamed of. Okay,
well, let's talk a little bit the 21st century.
Sure.
All right, so how can they plan for stable income in their retirement years?
One of the things that we do, especially for folks in their 50s, we've got folks in their 40s and actually into their 90s. But as you're looking at your 40s and 50s, we actually start mapping out if you take this investment to this conclusion over the next 10 years or 15 years, what is your savings rate? We look at all of those in the planning to say if you keep doing what you're doing, what will the outcome look like? And so putting that in written form gives people a good visual to know that they're on the right path to accumulate, that they're then ready for distribution.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. Always a pleasure.
Everyone's going to give you a call now.
Well, we're always grateful.
We appreciate you, Morgan. If
Thank
you want to
Troy.
find out more information, there it all is up on the screen for you. We'll be back after this short break.